Hi there everyone, it's Missy here from TheJollyFatElf. It's Wednesdays and on Wednesdays we play Crafty Roulette. Hi there, if you're new here, thank you so much for joining me today. So I am on a crafty no-buy for 2021 and I came up with Crafty Roulette to be a fun way to use my stash. Basically, I'm shopping my stash every single Wednesday. I'm just doing it randomly. So this will be the last week where you see this makeup and this shirt. So thank you so much for allowing me to film ahead. It's very helpful. That way I can kind of just do this when I can. So yeah, but we're gonna stop talking and we're gonna row. So I have 3 different wheels with all of my supplies: stamps, paper, and dies. And then I have a 4th wheel that is techniques. So we'll pick a technique, we'll get our supplies, and then I will do my best to come up with a halfway decent project. If it's an artist we've used recently, or if it's a stamp set that we've used recently, I will redraw. Picket fence, exhale, worry. I think that's just a sentiment. Let's get a image to go with it. I really think that's just a sentiment stamp. Holy Family. I just used her design with the wise men. Let's pick another one. These are coloring sheets that are snowman, and that exhale worry stamp set is like about praying. So we'll make it work. All right, let's get a technique. That is a oh my god. Okay, let's get a die. Make it vintage. Oh my word. I don't know if I can do this. Pink, fresh, slim, diagonal stitch. Okay. This may be the hardest one of all. Let's head over to the craft table and y'all pray for me. Pray for me. I inserted a clip of getting a paper pad because I realized after gathering all my supplies, I forgot paper, probably because I was so distracted by what we got. So yeah, so I'm filming this out of order. This is actually going to go up second. And I did this because I think this is going to be the most challenging. And after last week's, that was kind of super easy. I wanted to share with you something that was a bit more challenging. So what I've done is these are digital images and they're actually coloring pages. So I used my silhouette to detach them and cut them out. And what I've done is I've mirrored it because my idea is to have them look like they're coming down a mountain. We'll see. So I did it in the grayscale, and then she offers it also in like a really light pattern. So I may end up using, I don't know which one I'm going to use. I'm thinking of coloring them with warm grays to keep kind of the vintage feel about it. I pulled some distress oxides. I've got frayed burlap, walnut stain, and vintage photo. I'm not real sure which one I'll use. This is the stamp set. So this one I thought either like just excel worry because they look like they're having so much fun, or faith before worry, something about the worry, because it feels like they're just casting their cares away and enjoying their day. So that's my thought process for that. This is the die. So this is actually a cover plate. And a cover plate, think of the cover plate as like an embossing folder. So it literally embosses a piece of paper. So we are making a slimline card, and I thought this would work out as the snow. So I am going to bring in another kind of like heel die, but we'll do that in a minute. And then this is the paper pad, and I honestly don't know what in the heck I'm going to do with this. I probably could have just left it and nobody would have realized. But that would defeat the purpose. So I honestly don't know, y'all. I honestly don't know what this is going to do or what we're going to use with it or anything. But here it is. Here it is. So yeah, this one's going to be kind of hard, y'all. But I'm gonna make it work. Maybe I can emboss on this paper. All right, we'll see. So I'm gonna get started by coloring, and like I said, I'm gonna use some warm grays. I'm actually not gonna do a whole lot of coloring because they are already tinted, and that kind of helps me a bit anyway. So wish me luck. Let's get started. Okay, friends, I'm actually gonna start by using the die, which is actually a cover plate. So if you are new to cover plates, they work just like an embossing folder, except it's not a folder and they are a bit more expensive. So I went ahead and cut down a piece of Neenah Solar White. I think this is a 110-pound cardstock. And I just cut it in half at 4 1/4. That way I could send this through my Gemini Junior. If I had the big one still, I would be able to send a whole sheet of paper through, but I don't. So I brought in, I think this is the stitched, I think this is from MFT. They're stitched snow drifts, snow hills, something like that. And I cut out a few of these and just ran them through my Gemini, and I'm cutting the layer for the outside using the largest stitched rectangle from the Pink and Main and what is this called? Slimline. Oh my word. Slimline rectangles. Whew, brain. This is my second voiceover, so maybe a little wackadoodle today. So once I get that ran through, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Windy Vecchi Make It Mat, and I'm going to bring in frayed burlap. And so I'm using frayed burlap out of all three of them because this comes off a little bit more cool toned to me, and not cool toned, warm toned, and I wanted it to be a bit more warm of a background. So I'm just using my these are makeup brushes I got off Amazon. They're basically the same thing as some of the other stamp companies are selling, just for a fraction of the price. So you can get them on Amazon. You can search for like toothbrush makeup brushes or oval makeup brushes, and you'll find a set. I actually have 2 sets, and I just clean them when I need to. So I'm gonna put that away. Now I'm gonna color. So I am using some really dull colors. They're not very saturated. So this is like B34. I use R35. And then just some warm grays. So I'm coloring them exactly the same because this is going to be a scene where he starts at the top and then they come down the bottom. So I'm using this blue on his hat. He has a scarf, and then he has mittens. Excuse me. And then I'm going to use the red just on the hat on the mouse, and then the ribbon. And I'm not even doing any like fancy blending. I'm literally using one color per section. I just thought this was the easiest way. Like if I use saturated colors, this wouldn't work very well. It wouldn't, I'd have to go over it with other Copics. So I do end up doing that later, but as of right now, I'm just trying to keep it very muted. I'm coloring him with, I think this was warm gray number 1, or it may even be 0. And then I used a darker Y for his little carrot nose. excuse me, and I'm using this color for the sled. And again, I went a bit more cool toned, so it would stand out from the background, because again, the background's a little bit more warm, and I didn't want it saturated, so it's a more muted tone. And that's, to me, that's what makes it look vintage, along with the distressing. This was probably the most challenging card I've ever made in my 11 years of crafting. But I am loving this series so much, because this would never be a card I made. This would never be a card I made. So I'm really enjoying getting out of my comfort zone, and this really, this really stretched me. And I was so excited when it was done, because I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Hopefully you guys agree. We'll see. So after I get that colored, I'm going to go ahead and bring in, I believe this is W1 or W0, and I'm just going over all of the colors. Again, I want to mute them down, make sure none of them really stand out, and then I'm going to color the fluffy part of his hat. Once I've done that, I'm going to bring in some cardstock from My Favorite Things. I think this is called Timber. And I've just cut this down at 7, or I'm cutting it down at 7. And then I'm going to score it at 3.5. And then initially I brought in a white to be the inside layer. And I was like, no, I really feel like I want a cream instead. So you'll see me bring in a cream instead. And I think this is where I was like, no, we need to do a cream. So I cut the cream down to 8.25 by 3.25. I'm going to get this folded down. So this cardstock from My Favorite Things is very thick. Like, I'm slowly buying all the colors. I haven't bought, the only color I'm really waiting on is Fiery Coral. And for some reason that won't come back in stock. But I am loving the quality of their cardstock. It is thicker than the Stampin' Up! Cardstock. So I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so for the wood grain paper, I didn't show this on camera. I used a small cluster of clouds that I got from MFT last year at some point. And I used that wood grain paper for clouds. I was like, I don't know, what else am I supposed to do with this? So I went ahead and used it for clouds. This is like I said, this is probably the most challenging card I've ever made. And I'm so happy I did it. This will be available in my Etsy shop if you're someone who actually loves it and you want to use it. So yeah. At first I put him down, then I was like, wait a minute, I kind of want a snowbank behind him. So I lifted him up just a little bit and was able to slide one underneath him. So it's supposed to look like they're going down a hill. And we're seeing that from both angles. So they start at the top and then we see them come to get down to the bottom. And that was my idea for this card. And I really, at first I was like, what am I doing with this, the plaid? Having the plaid, like the stitching on the snowbanks, is one of my favorite parts of this card. I love it so much. So I'm really just trying to figure out where stuff is going to go. And this is when I realized that I needed more snowbanks. More snow! Like more cowbell, but more snow. So I'm going to do another press of this cover plate from Pink Fresh Studios. And I'm going to distress it again. This time, instead of bringing in the Wendy Vecchi thing, I'm just going to use whatever is left over on my brush and go over the top of it. And then I will cut it out with that same heel border. Initially, I started cutting it when it was in a portrait mode, and I was like, I didn't really care for that at all. So that's why you see me doing it when it's on inside in landscape mode. And I'm going to cut out 2 or 3. And that will be very helpful to this card. At this point, I still hadn't decided on a sentiment. I was kind of trying just to avoid it. It's like, I don't even want to think about a sentiment right now. I don't even. So again, just getting some snowbanks. I probably didn't need quite this many, but I thought I've already done this. Let's just get all of them, and then hopefully I'll have enough. So I just work on finding a good angle, again, to make it look like they're coming down a mountain. And I can put some more clouds on there. The paper really threw me for a loop, but again, I really like it as clouds. I mean, this is such a whimsical, fanciful card that it's just really unexpected, and it's probably one of the favorite cards I've made in this series so far. So I did a lot of moving around. I was listening to Bailey Sarian when I did this. So if you see me like kind of stop, I'm like, what is she talking about? So yeah, I wasn't sure, like I had a hard time deciding what was going to go where. And luckily this tape I was using wasn't stuck down completely, and I could pick it up and move it around. And I'm just trimming it off the side. Sorry, that's off the camera, but I needed it right in front of my face so I could see it. And I wanted it to look like they were going down a space that had already been made. And that's why I wanted two different snow drifts, one behind and one in front. So it looks like they're going down a hill that people have already sledded on. And I really think this slimline card lends itself to this type of scene. If I'd done just a regular A2 size card, I don't think it would have been big enough. So once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. I think it says Faith Over Worry. And I stamp it twice, and I'm just using Gina K ink, one of the browns. And then I thought I was going to be able to cut this out with a stitch rectangle die, but the ones I had weren't long enough, or they were way too long. So I went ahead and just trimmed out the sentiment just using my trimmer. Again, I think it's Sure Cut Line. I don't remember. I will try to link this trimmer down below. I think Amazon has it. I'm not quite sure, but it's the one from Fiskars that has a wire guide. And seriously, if you don't spend money on anything else, get a good trimmer. And again, this one is just so good because I can line it up and I can see exactly where I'm cutting, making sure I'm not cutting too much off, etc. So I felt like I wanted some kind of embellishment. So there was this little pack of snowflakes on this hillside. And this, again, came from My Favorite Things. So I just cut out a big one out of the same wood cream paper. And then I'm going to add that to the back and get this adhered to the card. So yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Real Time Misty, and she'll take it from there. All right, friends, this was probably so outside of my comfort zone. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. That is your question of the day. Is it vintage? How does the sentiment work? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you. I love you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.